Hey, I'm Vinny and this is Makeify. I recently got this Delta belt disc sander at a garage sale for $20, which I thought was a heck of a deal. It works, but it's pretty dirty and it needs to be cleaned up. The belt needs to be replaced, the disc needs to be replaced. So I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna show you how I do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off the old belt, which actually isn't in bad shape, but I'm going to replace it anyway. And to do that, I need to take off this backstop. And to do that, I need to remove this bolt with a wrench. Now I should be able to release the tension on the belt. And the belt should slide right off. There's a little bit of gunk and corrosion on this bed here, so I'm going to just lightly sand that off. To remove the old sanding disc, I need to remove the table, and I just need to loosen this one nut. Or bolt, I guess. It's actually a bolt. That should slide off. There's some rust. There we go, finally! Holy cow! So in the process of getting this table off, I noticed that there's a piece that's broken, that's split. That shouldn't be two pieces, that should be one solid piece. So, I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. Right now I'm thinking I can try to 3D print a part, but this is metal. I don't know how critical, well, it broke one, so obviously it's under some sort of stress, so I don't know. I'm gonna deal with that later. I'm gonna pretend that it's not broken for now and move on. So now I'm just gonna clean up the rust off this shaft. I should have done that before taking the table off, as it turns out, but I'm just gonna sand this down lightly. And that's probably good enough. I'm not trying to get this machine like new. I'm just trying to get it into a good operating condition. So hopefully that'll make it easier to get that table on and off from now on. Now to get at the full disc, I need to remove 3 screws here, and they're pretty rusted, but hopefully that won't be a problem. To get this old sanding disc off, I'm going to hit it with a heat gun to loosen the adhesive, and then use a razor blade to scrape it off. It's important that this disc remain perfectly flat, but I am going to hit it with a little bit of sandpaper just to kind of get all the little protrusions off and leftover adhesive and whatnot. So I know it doesn't look very good, but it does feel nice and smooth, so I'm gonna leave it at that. So I want to be able to get in behind the disc and clean everything out really well, and also make sure the belt is adjusted properly. So to do that, I need to just take out this one set screw. Ooh. And this disc should pop out. There we go. Just like that. Now to get to the belt, I need to remove this plastic shroud. Okay. Belt tension seems good. It should only flex about 1/4 of an inch when you squeeze it. It doesn't need to be super tight, so that's good. I'm not even going to mess with adjusting that. But I am going to vacuum out all the nooks and crevices of this sander really well, and also wipe everything down to clean it all up. Okay, with everything kind of cleaned up, I'm just going to start to reassemble it. First, putting this shroud back on. Then I'm going to put the disc on. I'm going to line up, there's a flat part on that shaft. Line that up with the set screw, and then tighten that in place. Now the disc is ready for a new piece of sandpaper. So I'm just going to peel off the adhesive backing. Try to line it up. Now I can reinstall this plate that goes over that. Screws are kind of rusty, but I could replace them, but they're okay for now. Now I'm going to use some paste wax to wax this surface. And this wax is going to reduce friction and provide a little bit of coating against corrosion, rust. Now I can slide the new belt onto the table. Now I can tighten the belt down. Now I can install the backstop onto the belt. And I'm going to insert a little thin piece of cardboard as a spacer. And I want to make sure this backstop stays perfectly perpendicular to the belt as I tighten down the bolt. So on the underside of the table, there's this one part, this metal part that's broken. And I'm going to try to 3D print a new part. So I need to remove this bolt on the broken piece. A similar bolt on the other side. And a larger bolt on the back here. And then I can remove the broken piece, and it has a little axle. But luckily that axle removes. I don't have to 3D print that or try to deal with that. So I'm going to take some measurements with some calipers so I can 3D model this thing. So I'm using Fusion 360 to 3D model the new piece, and essentially I'm just combining simple geometric shapes into a slightly more complicated 3D model. And obviously this video is sped up, but I have a better, kind of more in-depth tutorial on the very basic 3D modeling. There's be a card that'll pop up above, and there's a link down in the video description. Once the 3D model was finished, I sent it over to my 3D printer, which is a MP Select Mini version 1, a very simple, inexpensive 3D printer, and I printed it out. I've got the new piece, now I'm just going to install it in the table. So this pin, or little axle, only goes in one direction. Just something to be aware of. Before I put the table back on the shaft, I'm just going to wax it a little bit, just to reduce friction and help protect it from rust. Now I'm going to install the table, and it slides on way nicer than it did before. Now I'm gonna use my little digital angle gauge to make the table perfectly perpendicular to the disc. And I'm gonna adjust this little marker so that it reads 0 degrees. Now I'm going to plug it in, turn it on, and adjust this knob to get the belt tracked perfectly centered. All right, let's try it out. Well, there you go. This disc belt sander is now in good working condition. It cleaned up for the most part. I could spend more time and clean this up, make it nice and pristine, but it's not going in a showroom. It's going in my shop. It's gonna get used. It's gonna get dirty again. So I just kind of did the bare minimum to get it into good working condition. I did have to replace that one piece in the table, and if someone else needs that piece, I will post the file on Thingiverse so you can download it for free and 3D print it. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to keep up to date with my newest videos. I'd like to thank Chris Karofsky on Twitter, who suggested I do this video. Have I mentioned I'm on Twitter, @Makeify1, if you want to follow me. Thanks for watching. Hey, I'm Vinny and this is Makeify. So I recently got this belt disc sander. Oh, nope. But it needs some work. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to keep up to date with my newest videos. I'd like to thank Chris Karofsky. Have I mentioned I'm on Twitter @Makeify1? You can follow me there if you're into that kind of thing. Oh my gosh. Ooh, try that again.